Intel, once on the verge of extinction due to their hubris, now potentially making a comeback. And what better way to commemorate said comeback potential by building an all-Intel gaming system around one of their new CPUs and seeing how it handles some Linux. But first, if you're thinking about building your own website and you need a domain name, today's video sponsor Porkbun is the tastiest solution. Porkbun is a cheap and easy way to buy a website name with low and transparent pricing from day one. And every domain bought at Porkbun includes free domain features like whois privacy, SSL certificates, DNS management powered by Cloudflare, and a whole bunch more. Using Porkbun's also super simple. I managed to buy DavidDoesTechStuff.com in like 5 minutes using Porkbun. And if you need any help during the process, Porkbun's amazing support team gives you access to help from real people 24/7. So if you're in the market for a fancy new domain name, click on my link down below and use my code DavidTech26 to get an extra $1 off your next domain at Porkbun. Now Asus was nice enough to send over a motherboard for this video, and they went kind of ham with this Maximus Hero board, which looks a little bit like the base of a villain in a Metal Gear Solid game. I mean, look at them heatsinks. And even the front USB 3 headers are metal reinforced. And then there's this M.2 heatsink clip mechanism, and even the onboard power button is lovely. But what I like most about this motherboard is the redundant Ethernet, the 2.5 gig port of which uses an Intel chipset, which for driver compatibility should make our lives much easier in Linux. I've had a lot of problems with weird exotic Ethernet chipsets presenting driver issues, at least in Windows. I don't know how much of a problem that is in Linux. Just don't Google how much the motherboard costs though. Now in terms of our new Intel chip, Intel sent over like a press kit, which I think includes, yes, either an Ultra 7 or an Ultra 5. I mean, I've got to take the bigger number, don't I? Wow, it looks like an Intel chip. I will say my only issue with this CPU is that the name isn't quite long enough. I feel like we need at least a premium, maybe some mega in there somewhere. I don't know, think of some adjectives. We've only got 9. Now Intel also sent over some RAM for this build, which saves me having to turn some tricks tonight. It's good. Wow, the Trident Z's is so snazzy. Look at that. Immediately got them gross. Very nice. Ooh, interesting mechanism. Next, I decided to mount a Deepcool Assassin 4 air cooler, and luckily the massive motherboard heatsinks didn't get in the way of the installation. Although the RAM did, so I did have to mount the cooler like the wrong way around, technically. And just like that, we have our core system assembled, and well, it looks sick. It's nice parts, so it'll look good. And in this is the case that I'm using for the build, which is Corsair's new 3200D airflow case, which uses this kind of like smoky translucent black plastic on the front, which is pretty cool. I like the way that it catches light. I think with the RGB on, it's gonna look pretty sick. Ooh, it comes with some captive power supply mounting screws. And then what's awesome about this Corsair Shift power supply is you don't have to pre-attach all of your cables because the connectors are on the side. It's so smart. Never mind, clearance is perfectly fine, although we can still easily mount it now, so both options are good. Now, one of the big reasons I decided to use the Deepcool Assassin was because its massive girth makes it the ultimate stress test for David's patented can you plug in the CPU power cable with an air cooler in the top of a case test. And the 3200D did fine, it was okay, I could get it in. The rest of the cable management process in the 3200D was also pretty solid. There's enough space for you to route things where you wanted to, and there was place for you to tie everything down nicely. So yeah, it was a pretty solid cable management experience. And in terms of graphics card, I'm using a, you guessed it, Intel B580 GPU, a great graphics card which has been around the block several times at this point. But it's not like graphics cards in this price point is exactly a growth market at the moment, so yeah, it's still relevant. Okay, so now we just need to see if this badass looking system works. Ooh. Wow, we've got postcode and post LEDs. Does that mean we're good or not? I should probably plug a monitor in. Hey, it works. Nice. Which means it's finally time to install some Linux. Now in terms of distro, I decided to try some Mint Linux, try something new. So I downloaded some Mint Linux from their website and made a bootable USB using Belina Etcher. The whole process was real straightforward. However, when I plugged the flash drive in, I was real confused to see it talking about Bazite. Nonde. But then I remembered that the drive that I dropped in the system had Bazite on it, and when I selected the USB, we had Mint show up. And with another real straightforward installation process out the way, we officially had an all Intel Linux gaming machine. And just like that, we've got some Linux running on our system. The installation was really straightforward. I have poked around a little bit, and it does seem like there aren't additional drivers that I need to install, which I'm surprised by, but Mint seems to have figured everything out. It is a little bit concerning to me that Mint can't figure out any of the details of the graphics card we have in this system, but I did also follow the instructions on Intel's website about how to install drivers for their GPUs in Linux, and none of it worked, which I guess makes me feel a bit better. But with that, let's try and run some games on this system before testing a gaming use case that I've been doing a lot lately, and I'm not quite sure how well it'll play with Linux. But before that, Cyberpunk. Now after this, I restarted the system before starting testing, and for some reason immediately ran into a problem where Steam didn't want to launch anymore. Linux seems to think that it's running, but I can't access the window at all for some reason. A problem that I ended up fixing by just reinstalling Steam. Ooh, that's not looking promising. We don't have our Mango HUD overlay going. It's not the end of the world. If it doesn't work, I'll just use the Steam overlay. But I feel like it should be working. It is not. Oh yeah, so much overlay. We aren't getting any GPU information though. Now for Cyberpunk, I am running it at 1440p high settings, and we're getting in the 50s. Which means that the graphics card's definitely doing stuff, despite the overlay not really reading it. And this is like mid-reasonable performance for a B580 at 1440p high in this game. Unfortunately, we also can't monitor how much power our CPU is drawing, although I imagine it's a reasonable amount considering our high peak temperatures on the CPU, although it does fluctuate a lot. But look at that, we've got some Cyberpunk running on our Linux all Intel system, and it's working pretty well. Like, this is a usable-ish experience, although it is at 1440p, so we can use a little bit of upscaling. And I ended up using Intel's upscaling at quality settings. Oh yeah, now we've jumped into the 70s and the game is feeling pretty solid now. It also actually doesn't look terrible. Like, does it look worse than it did before? Maybe our foliage is a little bit blurrier, but other than that, oh, that's pretty cool. The fencing looks terrible though. At which point I decided to try Fidelity FX 3.0 at quality settings, which if anything actually looked a bit worse than the Intel upscaling. The frame rate is about the same and it looks maybe worse. If anything, I think Intel's looks better than FSR 3. Although on a closer side-by-side inspection, I'd say they look very similar. I don't know, let's just go with functionally identical. Now, considering that I play a lot of Dota and esports titles are a dodgy subject for Linux, I decided to see how Dota runs, and it launched no problem. Yeah, I mean, we are getting a hella frame rate. Although it wasn't all hunky-dory, because when I loaded into a bot match to see how the game felt, there was some weird movement artifacts going on. Oh wow, there is some weird stuttering going on. Yeah, there's like weird frame pacing going on. The game still felt relatively responsive, but the jerkiness of my character model movements was really distracting. So yeah, Dota 2, not super promising. Now, something that I am very curious about is how Linux Mint handles sim racing. I've been doing a lot of Dirt Rally 2 lately, and well, if Mint can't handle that, it's pretty much a no-go for me. Moza racing hardware, look at that, there is some software for it apparently. Box flat. So with software secure, I hooked my all Intel Linux system up to my badass sim racing rig to see how it'll all run. Now, straight off the bat, Linux is a little bit confused by the monitor resolution. So I have a 34-inch ultra-wide here, and it picks it up as a 32-inch just regular 16:9 monitor. I'm not sure why. It may have to do with the capture card. It was because of the capture card. Plugged straight in, it works fine. There we go, the bass just showed up. Okay, so you do have a whole bunch of your settings available. However, the pedals in the gear shifter wasn't showing up. The pedals I fixed by just re-plugging it in, but nothing I did made the gear shifter show up, unfortunately. No way did Steam break again. It did. But after the 7th Steam reinstall, we were off to the races. Oh, but it picks up the shifter too?
A few moments later.
It does not. It's not picking up the shifter. And with that debate out the way, I picked a car and was off to the races for realsies this time. I have no force feedback. So this issue actually translates over into Linux's software as well. Every time I play Dirt Rally, I need to launch a game, turn my wheel off, and then turn it on again. Otherwise, I don't have force feedback. I still have no force feedback. What in the world? I can't feel the car at all. This is so weird. It feels like it's trying really hard to give me force feedback, but there's just no detail there. I then tried restarting the base again, which maybe helped a teeny bit. It feels a little bit closer to there being force feedback, but it's not oh, I'm so I was so distracted by the steering. I then decided to try Assetto Corsa, which works really well with the Moza base, but apparently it doesn't like Linux very much. Next, I tried Dirt Rally 2 on Windows, which was actually giving me the same problem this time, so I updated the firmware, which fixed the problem on Windows. Luckily, when I swapped the Linux system back, it was also working there now, so all we needed was a firmware update. So we're doing a direct comparison to how it feels on Windows now. Okay, it works properly now. I still couldn't get the gear shifter going, but in terms of force feedback, it felt exactly the same as it did in Windows. So with that, I will say my Mint experience wasn't super pleasant. I feel like Bazite was definitely more idiot-proof than the experience I had with Mint here. But let me know what experience you've had down below. And on your way down there, maybe subscribe to the channel. And thanks again to Porkbun for sponsoring this video. If you're in the market for a tasty domain name, use some Porkbun action. Use code DAWIDTech26 to get $1 off your next domain name. And until the next one, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.